may not know who is going with us or who will be our comrades at arms on this mission. But we know who they will not be. They will not be those who cannot be trusted. Those whom you trust at your own risk. We have traveled with untrustworthy persons before, and even when we have given them another chance to redeem themselves, they have failed miserably by returning to their old mischief. It is true, after all, that bad manners die hard. We shall no longer countenance the company of those who cannot be trusted. No, never again. For the avoidance of doubt, and now I repeat, for the avoidance of doubt, the ANC stand, which I am privileged to pronounce, is that the spectre called Azimio is not an option when it comes to partnership. Indeed, this thing is neither an Azimio nor about unity. It is about the self-preservation of some cunning individuals. The patterns are only well-known and predictable. Wamepoteza frequency na network. We have had enough of these self-preservation schemes. Tumechoka. Enough is enough. Tusidanganyane. We will not work with you. Meanwhile, I pledge to place my fellow citizens disposal I pledge to place at my fellow citizens' disposal my solid, tested and proven ability to restore the Kenyan economy from the doldrums. The present predicaments are not different from the economic meltdown that I successfully handled in the early 1990s as Kenya's finance minister. The country was broke. Kenya was an international pariah. Bilateral and multilateral lenders shunned us because borrowed sovereign money had gone down corrupt throats. Just like now, I restored macroeconomic stability that resuscitated Kenya's economy and spurred its growth. I established the Kenya Revenue Authority to protect domestic revenue from being stolen. I made Central Bank of Kenya and independent entity, therefore closing avenues of graft under foreign exchange control regimes. The lenders came back, and our economy was soon back on its feet. Today, however, there is an embarrassing national ritual of adjusting the debt ceiling upwards all the time. It is deceit bordering on criminal intent. I am therefore boldly stepping out of the shadows to caution the government against borrowing expensive, easy to embezzle commercial loans with short repayment periods. This is because I have what it takes to change course. I may not have the fabled Midas touch, but yes, trust me, I can. Once again, the great Abraham Lincoln famously said, by all means, don't say if I can, say I will. I am stepping forward to do what I know must be done to save this country. So I say, I will. What should we do as a nation? Under the Uchumi Bora Pesa Mfukoni mantra, ANC is looking beyond the 5-year term of government to implement appropriate policies to support faster economic growth. Targeted for immediate action will be to implement measures to contain the economic meltdown through a national economic recovery plan. And they'll be in the manifesto. You will see I have listed several areas that we can touch to achieve this goal. Secondly, we must have prudent management and focus on the reduction of public debt. This will mean restructuring public debt, the debt portfolio, with an emphasis on renegotiating our foreign debts to progressively reduce expensive borrowing. We will acquire and use debt prudently without straining Kenyans by creating a debt regulatory institution within the first year of the ANC government. And on this, I must say that one of our members, Honorable Sakwa Bunyasi, has indeed tabled a bill in Parliament to address this issue. And for 1 year, that bill, for nearly 1 year, that bill is being taken in circles because people don't want us to establish the truth of our debt position. We will make sure that we decriminalize taxation and make taxes unavoidable but affordable. Unavoidable but affordable. In support of this, we will strengthen stringent anti-corruption laws, making anti-corruption agencies efficient to stop theft in public procurement and enforce transparency and accountability in government. From henceforth, we want to make sure that the report of the Auditor General will not be the refuge of thieves, but the basis of criminal investigation and prosecution of offenders. We will want a fair tax system that allows everybody to do business and to survive. I don't think there's a Kenyan who wants to avoid tax deliberately, unless it's a criminal. But they do not want punitive taxation. They want a taxation that is fair. We shall deliver. We want agriculture, which contributes 27% to GDP, 75% of our raw materials, 65% of our export earnings, and 60% of the total direct employment, and nearly 47% of our nearly 47% of our population is food insecure. At any one time, 2 to 4 million Kenyans on food relief. We must reverse this. The ANC government will pursue a Kenya Kwanza policy. In agriculture and manufacturing, we will boldly put first the interests of the Kenyan farmers and entrepreneurs and will vigorously subsidize the cost of inputs to make Kenyan products competitive. Ladies and gentlemen, we must make devolution work. The constitutional basis for devolution is the actual transfer or surrender of political and economic power, authority, and resources to counties, and not the current patronizing belief that devolution is delegation of duties to counties by the national government. No wonder some governors are trembling. I know where the nuts and bolts of a working devolution system are needed. I vow fully to implement an effective devolution system as demanded by the Constitution and desired by Kenyans. Kenyans, let me speak to this one and please listen intently. Democracy, because this is a political speech and I must speak politics. Democracy requires eternal vigilance. An optimistic Abraham Lincoln believed that while people retain their virtue and vigilance, no administration by any extreme of wickedness or folly can very seriously injure the government in the short space of 4 years. That is what Abraham believed. Of course, Lincoln had not reckoned with the rogue administration in the USA and less enthusiastic and constitutional shy ones in Kenya. Had he done so, he would not have underrated the determination of rogue administrations to injure democracy in a very short time. Kenya is a constitutional multi-party state, guaranteeing far-reaching rights and freedoms to all Kenyans. This has been achieved through untiring struggles of tears, blood, and death. It behoves any leader in this country to lead Kenyans in nurturing our nascent democracy. But there is sinister counter-democracy insurgency creeping into our governance system. Anti-people plots are afoot to curtail and defeat not only rights and freedoms, but also electoral democracy. These shenanigans are aimed at subverting fair, free, and verifiable elections by crippling political parties. This is reflected in shameful maneuvers to assault and curtail Kenyans' political rights to associate and freely choose their leaders. Yaani wanataka hata watuchagulie marafiki na watupimie hewa. Some shadowy elements are busy attempting to coerce, intimidate, and impose hand-picked leaders. This is a perilous road that can only lead to civil strife. We must certainly be reminded that the stability of this country is derived from the legitimacy bestowed through popular elections. Through popular elections. In the forthcoming elections, the people of Kenya as a sovereign have the duty, as warned by Lincoln, not to overthrow, and I quote, not to overthrow the Constitution, like some want, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution. I wish to repeat that. These elections, Lincoln would have said, our intention is not to overthrow the Constitution, like some want, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution. Uongozi bora na uchumi bora, pesa mfukoni, other than tackling corruption in the theft of resources, seeks to also fight political corruption by strengthening and protecting the independence of our institutions of government and of constitutional commissions and offices. We will use this protective shield to shelter and embolden important institutions such as the judiciary and labor movement. It is tragic that the robust labor movement that played a stunning role in securing Kenya's independence has been vandalized and cannibalized by clueless and clownish, self-serving leadership. Under my watch, the labor movement is going to regain its sense of purpose and respectability as the middle house between employers and their employees. It will not be a clownish cowboy club that labors for a few individuals who openly boast and display the trappings of massive opulence whose sources remain smoky and mysterious. Ladies and gentlemen, for the workers of this country, can you imagine if Tom Mboya woke up today? If Dennis Akumu woke up today? If Sami Muhanji woke up today? If Peter Kibisu woke up today? If Chadu Kadongo woke up today? What would they find? It is worrying how these groups have bastardized state institutions by weaponizing them for selfish ends. The war against corruption is on the limp because of weaponization of the entities that should be fighting graft in the country. They have been politicized and personalized for political scarecrow purposes and prosecution of dissent. Individuals who do not toe a particular political line are targeted day in, day out for witch hunt through state agencies. This must not be allowed to go on. We stand up against political arm twisting and kidnapping of state entities for selfish missions, even way before we form government. And when we get there, there will be things of the past. Ladies and gentlemen, as I draw close to the end, finally, let me say something, because there are groups that are dear to me, special groups, and they are vulnerable. The country's maturity is measured by how it treats its vulnerable populations. The minorities, the youth, women, and people with disabilities. These special people face perennial challenges and risks. These populations have to grapple with social, economic, and political exclusion, in addition to the disadvantages of inadequate skills, unemployment, lack of capital to fund startups, and lack of business support and extension services to cultivate businesses. It is therefore not a choice, but a duty to integrate them in the development agenda of this country. And I wish to assure you that ANC will do that. For the youth, let me say that I have a particularly soft spot in my heart. I believe in giving the youth an opportunity to play important roles in the country. I am reminded that I became myself a minister at the youthful age of 29. I therefore wish to give you my word that on this we shall walk together. You have even seen the Secretary General of ANC as a signal of what we stand for. Women, our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, I need to reassure you that we will work and make sure that the gender rule that is demanded of the Constitution will be implemented. We will assure you that we will genuinely secure your 30% opportunities that you're supposed to have when you're tendering for business. We will implement it appropriately. That is something you can take to the bank. Persons with disabilities. Ladies and gentlemen, there are 3 million people living with disabilities in Kenya. The Constitution recognizes the right of people with disabilities to be treated with dignity and have equal access to social facilities. It also recognizes Braille, sign language, and other accessible formats as official languages in Kenya, and the right to participate in public life as essential to creating an active citizen. The Constitution further requires 5% of all elective and appointive positions in public be taken by people with disability. However, this has not been achieved in spite of the act that was passed in Parliament. It is an assignment ahead of us. Pastoralists and pastoralism. About 80% of Kenya is arid and semi-arid. Pastoralism forms 95% of household incomes. And these communities contribute 13% to GDP. But the great potential in the arsile regions is yet to be fully realized. I want to assure you, as ANC, and as you will see in the manifesto, we want to work hand in hand to tackle this issue so that the untapped potential can be unleashed for our country. Ethnic minorities and marginalized communities. Let me tell you that we have both large, small, powerful, powerless, dominant, and subject, and also rural and urban marginalized groups, diverse. 3 million members of ethnic minorities and marginalized groups are found in 26 counties. They suffer consequences of being few in number and are often despised, ridiculed, barred, ignored, devalued, and are underrepresented and unemployed. Let me make it very clear. As ANC, we want to work with them. Foreign policy, in a nutshell, without going into too much detail, we would like to recommend that the principles around uchumi bora, pesa mfukoni, as put out in the ANC manifesto become a guiding principle for our foreign policy and indeed to make us put Kenya kwanza in whatever we do and whatever we negotiate. We must not mortgage our country. We must make sure that trade benefits us. And importantly, we also intend to intensify protection of Kenyans in foreign nations in a quid pro quo sequence in accordance with internationally accepted protocols and conventions. We will not stand by as Kenyan workers abroad are molested and killed. Fellow Kenyans, for all the pragmatic interventions I have outlined above, to see the light of day, we must work together. The first handle is the coming elections. Board this ship that I intend to command to the lighthouse ahead. I cannot therefore resist the beautiful words of our national anthem that invoke the Kenya we want. Let one and all arise, with hearts both strong and true. Service be our earnest endeavor, and our homeland of Kenya, heritage of our splendor. Firm may we stand to defend. Ladies and gentlemen, before I take my seat, I wish to thank all those who have participated in making this NDC the great success that it has been. I will not mention all your names. However, I recognize your great work through the chairperson of the steering committee, Senator Petronila Lokorio. Please accept my highest regard for your brilliant industry. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless Kenya. Tuweke Kenya kwanza. Asanteni.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is that moment. This is that earthquake moment. This is that storm. And as the principals come back to sit, Solomon Kubwa, karibu. DJ, switch to Solomon Kubwa. Okay.
Hallelujah. Wapi kelele kwa Yesu? Mupe Yesu shangwe na vigelegele. Hallelujah.